useful to have placeholders. Okay, that is it for strings. Strings and things, we are done. So we'll call our new line. We're going to do dictionaries real quick, and then we'll go ahead and write our cool little shitty port scanner. Okay, dictionaries. And print. Dictionaries are keys and values. Okay. So in the past, we have used lists, right? Lists looks like this. We've had tuples, which are like this. And now we're going to have dictionaries, which are like this. So be able to identify the difference in bracket, parentheses, or whatever you call these squigglies, I don't know. Okay. Is that really how you spell dictionaries? If so, that's awful. Okay, let's say we have drinks, right? And let's talk adult beverages. Say White Russians. And let's say White Russians are $7. Okay, so the White Russian itself is the key, and $7 here is the value. Let's add some more in here. Let's add an old fashioned. Call that $10. Let's add a lemon drop. $8. And of course, everybody's favorite, the buttery nipple. We'll make that $6. We'll say drink is key, price is value. Okay, and let's print out drinks and see what it looks like. Syntax error. What did I do? Aha. You guys let me do this? Syntax is everything in Python. Alright, so you see it says White Russian $7, Old Fashioned $10, Lemon Drop $8, Buttery Nipples $6. Okay, that's fine. Let's leave those alone for now. We'll come back to those in a little bit. We don't have to have a string and then a value. We can have a string and a string. We can have a string and a list. Let's take another look at this. So let's say we've got employees, and they work in different departments. Let's say finance has Bob, Linda, Tina. We'll say IT has Jean, Louise, Teddy, HR is going to have Jimmy Jr. and Mort. Okay, and we'll close this off. And save it. Let's just print it, make sure we did everything right. Would be helpful if I printed it. You hate Teddy. Teddy's okay. I wouldn't say he's the worst. All right. So we've got finance, IT, and HR. Let's say that we wanted to add something new. Let's say there's a legal department, right? Well, we can just go ahead and say employees, and there's something like this. We could say legal. And let's add, let's say Mr. Frond is in charge of the legal department. And all we're doing is we're adding a new key value pair. Hey, White Rose, how you doing? Okay, so now if we print employees, you can see now that legal has been added and Mr. Frond is there. We could also use something called update instead. So we could say employees.update, and we could do this. Let's say there's a sales department that comes in, right? We can say, okay, well, Andy and Ollie are going to be in charge of sales. And honestly, guys, I'm a bit saddened that none of you have picked up on the references yet, but that's okay. I will forgive you. Let's print out the employees again. This is not Bake Off. Man, we should have done Bake Off. There's just not enough people on Bake Off, I feel like. This is all Bob's Burgers characters. All Bob's Burgers. It's not Friends. Who said Friends? All right. So you saw a couple different ways that we can add in. We can also update. So let's go back to the drinks. Let's say we wanted to update the price of a White Russian. The White Russian is $7 right now. But let's say we want to make it $8. We can just say drinks White Russian and just say it's equal to 8. We print out drinks. You can see now that a White Russian is still $7. Why is that, guys? I literally have no idea. Other than this potentially hates me. Oh, I called it White Russians. White Russians. Yeah, syntax is everything. $8. We just updated. Good job, guys. Extra set of eyes are important. All right, let's say we wanted to know the price of a White Russian, but we didn't know how much it costs. We could say print drinks.get, say White Russians. Don't know why I called it Russians. I'm sticking with it now. You'll see it returns 8. What if we try to get a drink that does not exist? It'll return none. So it's good to make a note of that. All right. Last thing I want to show you guys. So last week we took a list and we combined it up and we made 2 lists into one list paired, correct? JBL asked a question. Couldn't we just do print drinks White Russian? Yes, you can, JBL. Both work. Okay, so we're going to do what we did last week where we combine movies and people, but instead of putting them into a list, we're actually going to put them into a dictionary. Very similar process, and I will show you how it works. So we'll just call this list and dictionaries. All right. You can put whatever movies you want in here. I'm going to use the same from last week. So we'll say When Harry Met Sally. The Hangover. Perks of Being a Wallflower. And The Exorcist. Okay, and we put it to people, right? So we said that I like When Harry Met Sally, and say Bob liked The Hangover. We know that Leah likes The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and that Jeff liked The Exorcist. And then we did something similar. We said combined, and we zipped them together, right? So we put these two together. And now, instead of doing what we did last week and printing out a list, we're going to make a variable here called movie dictionary. And we're going to type this little syntax out here. So we're going to put it into a dictionary like this. And we're going to say key, value for key, value in combined. Okay. Now let's look what happens when we print this out. And now you see we are in a dictionary instead of a list. We took two lists, combined them together, and put them into a dictionary. So we've got lots of options in Python here. But without getting too advanced, I don't think we need to go any further. There's a lot more that we can do. But with the amount of time we have, I definitely want to build this shitty port scanner. And I want to show you a couple more things. So one of the awesome things about Python, and one of the things I use, if you remember in episode 1, I showed you how to use systemctl. We talked about enabling a service. We worked on Apache, right? We started an Apache server, opened it up on port 80. That's all great. The thing about the Apache server is you have to put your files into a var www folder. So everything that you want to specifically be hosted has to go into that folder. Instead, if we use Python, we can actually host a server wherever we are at. So let's take a look at this. Let's say, okay, we'll say ls, right? We've got this 102 script. What if I wanted to host this? Oh, it is simple HTTP server time. You've got it. So I want to host this out on the web. Let's get my IF config. And I'm just going to go into here. And I'm sitting at 192.168.56.129. Unable to connect. But I can just say python-m simple HTTP server 80 for the port. And if I come in here now, I've got a directory listing of everything that is in the folder that I'm hosting. So if I wanted to host up malware on a machine or get to some file to download quickly, this is a quick way to do it. We'll talk about file transfers at a later time. This is one of my go-to techniques. There's many, many techniques. Linux is nice because Linux has wget, but when we get into Windows, you sometimes have to be crafty with your extractions. So we'll get into all the clever ways that we can